What's up, y'all? We are going to make a plant wall, but it's not going to be just your average plant wall. We're going to make a hanging plant wall. So a couple things that we have right up front is we've got some waterproof paper of sorts, normally used for a bathroom. I think it goes behind like the shower, or I don't know, I'm not really sure. I bought it in order to waterproof our bathroom upstairs, and we'll probably use it, but I'm going to steal a couple sheets from it in order to make this plant wall. Whoa, I think I hear an echo. That sounds weird. I don't know if you can hear the echo in there, but there's a hole, so it's kind of making an echo. So the plant wall that we're going to go with is going to be about 48 inches by 60 inches, and it's going to go in the shop, and we're going to kind of go from there. This is kind of avant-garde. I don't know how this is going to go. I've never made a plant wall before, but I do know that I do want to make it waterproofed, at least waterproof the wood so that it doesn't get all moldy or bad. And I think this is a really good solution for that, because it's used as a waterproofing mat for whatever its original purpose was. And so I think that's going to be a good addition. I've got all of the pieces cut out from the felt. As you may have seen in a previous video, we have decided to do it in a custom format that wasn't the size that was available. So you'll see that like right there and right here and over here we've got some pieces that are cut and ready to go on board. But the first thing we need to do is waterproof this, and I'm going to overlap it. So a good way to explain how I'm going to overlap it is you're going to have your one piece here, and then you're going to have your other piece on the top, so that as the water flows from top to bottom, it flows in a way that doesn't go down behind the board, or behind the fabric and into the board. And so we'll kind of go from there. There'll probably be a lot of just more pictures than video, and so just to give you a heads up on that. But hopefully this will have a good outcome, and we'll have some sweet stuff to go on. We've got some 1,000-pound brackets. Obviously 1,000 pounds is probably like 10 times overkill, but 1,000-pound brackets that we were going to mount so that it can hang and still be safe. But we'll go from there. And hope. Hey everybody, this is Future Teray jumping in here for a quick second to just kind of explain. Somehow, for some reason, I had my S pin in my pocket and I had bumped it, and so the last few seconds of that we cut out. But basically just sharing what the next step is. The next step is really to jump in and start on the process of building the board that you see behind me. Awesome. I'm gonna get back to past Teray and we'll continue on. And we hope to have some pretty rare plants on our wall. Talk to you soon. Check it out. Okay, so as you can see, we've got the first part kind of laid out. The first part is going to be the bottom part, because the second part is going to be over the top of it. It's going to kind of lap over it so that the water flows from on top of the fabric. You'll notice that we've got a little bit of an overhang here. The reason for the overhang is so we can tuck it around the backside and staple it to the backside. Kind of the same thing on the sides that we've got going over on here. So notice a little bit of overhang there as well. Very much the same purpose, so we can tuck it back. In fact, I'll probably pull it over just a little bit more, give us some room there. And so this is what's going to be what's going to protect the wood and prevent it from getting any moisture or any mold on it. And then we're going to lay the fabric or the planter wall planter over the top of it. And so just to kind of give you a heads up of where we're at right now, and we'll keep going. I'm going to go ahead and get this stapled on and get the second layer up here, and we'll get back to this in a second. Appreciate it. Talk to you in a second. Bye. Okay, so what you can see now is that we have gotten the front side fully covered, and you can see the back side and the overlap. Because what we're going to do is we are going to wrap it very much like you see right here. Obviously that didn't go in so well, but that's okay. It's not really that much of a priority. But what we'll do is we'll tuck it over on the back side so that you can see that there won't be any water that's going to be able to get to the back side from the front side once it's fully wrapped over. And we can wrap it like that, or let's see if I can hold the camera and be able to do this. Wrap it is something like that. Well, that's kind of messy, but so I can take it. We're going to make a little crease right there, and then bring it back, almost like wrapping a Christmas gift. And then we're going to bring it and fold it back like that. And that's going to give us a nice tuck, very much like you would find on a canvas. And that way we get it nice, secure, it's clean, you have a clean angle, and it's going to look really good. So I'm not going to be able to staple this and hold the camera at the same time, but I wanted you to see what that looked like. Okay, we haven't changed locations because my wife needs to sleep, and that's certainly understandable, but as you can see, so you've got the top surface now that is completely covered. And then if you look closely, on the top half is where this seam is, and it's going to make it so that the water flows over from the top, in front of the seam, and down into there, so that you don't have to worry about any water getting back into the back side and actually permeating with the wood. Alright, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next step and get the wall planter onto the board. Okay, so now we have the wall planter on the board, but it's on there with the waterproof covering in order to keep the wood from getting wet. And so now that it is properly placed, what we're going to do is go ahead and get it screwed down. And it's got a bunch of rivets, such as like right here. It's also got a bunch of Wolfie's hair on it. We'll have to vacuum that off, but we're not going to really use those. What we're going to use is some screws that have a really wide head on them. In fact, I've got one in my pocket here. Bring that into view here. So these screws have a really wide head on them. We're going to go ahead and use those instead and position them probably about every 10 inches, maybe every 12 inches or so. And definitely we're going to double down on the areas where we've done the additions. So like if you look at this side right here, that whole line is not sewn from this side to this side, because that was what gave us the ability to have the size that we wanted to overall. And so we'll definitely do some behind the pockets. We're going to 1, 2, 1, 2 all the way up in order to kind of make sure that that gets secured on there. And then everywhere else will probably be like every 8 to 10 inches around the sides, or excuse me, 10 to 12 inches, and then maybe one row up the middle in order to ensure that that's secured as well, or possibly just another pocket, or another, excuse me, not a pocket, but another row going up along there just to ensure that it's secured on both sides, because it is overlapped. If you look at it right here, you can see that if I screw down on this section, it's actually going to screw in both sides, this side and this side. And so we'll probably do that in order to ensure that it's nice and secure. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do that step, and I'll be back. All right, just a couple things that I didn't mention that I probably should have. Obviously, it's better to use a better staple gun if you have one. We've got one upstairs that works off the compressor, but it's going to be loud, and so I'm just using this little arrow stapler. And within this arrow stapler, basically what we have is some some T50 staples, and the T50 staples are nice and long, and so I'll show you kind of what those look like. So I'll pop this open here. So pretty decent sized staples, so they are able to go through the fabric as well as make some really good contact with the wood. But that's really what we're utilizing for the stapling piece of it. And then one other thing that I didn't mention yet is that I am going to go ahead and staple down some of these sections, so that basically what's going to happen is when I go back in and I decide to drill it in with the screws that I had just shown you earlier, it's not going to have a lot of movement because it's going to be stapled down, and then I won't have the what will not happen is it's not going to get messed up and everything's going to be able to stay uniform. I've gone ahead and stapled most of it already, but just to kind of give you an idea of what that's going to look like, just so that you know. Thanks. See you in a minute. Use the mess. We're in the basement, and when your house is under construction, all the stuff that goes upstairs goes in the basement. So we've got some screws that go all the way through, but that's not a bad thing because this is going to be a hanging plant wall, so it's not going to go up against the wall directly. It's going to hang out in front of the wall, and so that's going to be just fine. The key piece is just making sure that we've got everything secured and that we've got everything kind of watertight. I could probably have used like some rubber sealing screws, but in all honesty, it's not that serious. If there is just a little bit of moisture on the wood, it's not going to be a big deal, and I really doubt that it's really going to be even that much. And so there you have it. We'll turn it around. See if we can do this without making a lot of noise or damage. Oops, we're destroying the pool table. Alright, there we go. Okay, so now we've got all of our pockets in place. We've got our full size in here. Next step is going to be that we're going to put a couple holes, probably 16 inches apart, maybe even a little bit more than that. Because center studs are always 16 inches on center, we're going to make sure that we get a couple holes, maybe at 24 and 24, I don't know, somewhere where it's going to be centered within the wall, will still look nice. I may have to put a backing support board and then use that to drill into in order to be able to center it on the wall in case the studs aren't exactly where I want it to be, in order for this to be centered on the wall. But this is going to be it. This is going to be a pretty good sized plant wall. We'll have some really rare stuff in here. I'm very excited about that. And once we get to that stage, obviously even before then, I'll keep you updated on the progress. But for now, I'll just say thanks so much. Armstrong Aroids getting ready to open. Very excited. And in the meantime, as we approach that journey in that moment in time, I encourage you to like and subscribe. And as I always say, if you don't like, at least subscribe and describe. Let me know what it is that you don't like or what you would like to see differently. And we'll go from there. Appreciate you. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.